world of golden afternoons, the rhythmic sound of a basketball hitting the pavement, and the clinking of glass marbles inside a Ramoon bottle. On the surface, Saku Chitose lived a life that most could only dream of. He was the apex predator of Fuji High, a normie who commanded respect, flanked by the most beautiful girls and the most loyal friends. But in the world of true crime, perfection is often the loudest warning sign. Before the tragedy struck, before the whispers turned into screams, there was a calculated calm. Saku wasn't just living, he was performing. Every smile was measured, every social interaction was a move on a chessboard, and every person in his circle was a part of a carefully constructed masterpiece. Neighbors saw a golden boy, teachers saw a leader. But if you looked closer at the footage of those final days, you'd see the cracks. He was a boy who believed that if you weren't beautiful, you didn't exist. And that philosophy was about to lead him into a darkness that no amount of social status could illuminate. To understand the crime, you have to understand the hierarchy. In the hallways of Fuji High, Saku wasn't just a student, he was the law. His group consisted of the elite, the athletic Haru, the popular girls, and the intellectuals. But this wasn't a natural friendship. It was a curated exhibit. Saku maintained a strict social order where everyone had a role. If you were in his circle, you were safe. If you were outside, you were invisible. This psychological pressure created an environment where resentment began to fester like an open wound. Investigators later discovered that Saku spent hours every night analyzing social dynamics, almost like a criminal mastermind plotting his next move, rather than a teenager enjoying his youth. The atmosphere in the weeks leading up to the incident was thick with an unspoken tension. Chitose was busy fixing people, playing the role of a social engineer who could mold the outcasts into something acceptable. He took on the case of a shut-in, Kenta Yamasaki, treating a human soul like a project that needed a deadline. This wasn't just mentorship, it was an obsession with control. Witnesses recall seeing Saku standing on the school rooftop, staring at the horizon, with an intensity that felt less like ambition, and more like a man watching his empire crumble from within. He told his friends that perfection is a cage, a haunting statement that many ignored at the time. They were too busy enjoying the glow of his popularity to notice that the boy in the Ramoon bottle was suffocating under the pressure of the glass walls he had built around himself. Kenta Yamasaki was the catalyst. By trying to force a shut-in into the bright, unforgiving lights of popularity, Saku triggered a chain reaction. True crime experts often point to this as the moment the predator became the prey. Saku's methods were brutal. He didn't just offer help, he demanded transformation. He stripped away Kenta's identity to replace it with a version that suited Saku's aesthetic. This psychological dominance didn't just affect Kenta, it sent ripples of fear through Saku's own inner circle. His closest friends began to wonder, if Saku could do this to an outcast, what could he do to them if they ever slipped from their pedestal? Then, the silence broke. The transition from the perfect life to the crime scene was instantaneous, leaving the small town in a state of absolute shock.